Most people spend their entire lives working for money without ever learning how to make money work for them. Think about that for a moment. You go to school for over a decade, maybe even spend years in college, accumulate knowledge in science, history, literature, and mathematics, and yet nobody ever sits you down and explains how money actually works. Nobody teaches you about interest rates eating away at your savings, about the difference between an asset and a liability, or about how the decisions you make in your 20s can either build your freedom or cement your captivity for the rest of your life. This is not an accident. This is the system working exactly as it was designed. The rat race is not just a metaphor. It is the lived reality of hundreds of millions of people around the world. It looks like this. You get a job, you get paid, you pay your bills, you barely survive until the next paycheck. Then you do it all over again, month after month, year after year, decade after decade. And here is the cruel twist that keeps the cycle spinning. Every time you get a raise, your lifestyle expands to match it. You upgrade your car, you move into a bigger apartment, you start eating at nicer restaurants, and suddenly that raise you were so excited about has completely disappeared into a higher standard of living that now requires even more income to maintain. This is called lifestyle inflation, and it is one of the most powerful and invisible forces keeping people financially stuck. Then there is debt. Credit cards, student loans, car payments, mortgages. Debt is the chain that makes the rat race inescapable for most people. Because when you owe money, you cannot afford to stop working. You are not working towards something. You are working to avoid losing everything. And so the trade continues. You give your time, you receive money, you spend that money, and then you must give more time. You are never building anything. You are simply surviving. And for most people, this continues until retirement, at which point they discover they do not have enough saved to actually stop working anyway. The education system was largely designed during the industrial era to produce reliable, skilled workers. And it does that job reasonably well. It teaches you how to follow instructions, how to meet deadlines, how to specialize in a field, and how to show up consistently. These are valuable skills, but they are the skills of an employee, not the skills of someone building financial independence. Schools rarely, if ever, teach personal finance. They do not explain how compound interest works or why starting to invest at 22 versus 32 makes an enormous difference in your final outcome. They do not teach you how to read a financial statement, how to evaluate an investment, or how to build multiple streams of income. They do not explain the difference between good debt and bad debt, or why buying a brand new car the moment you can afford the monthly payment might be one of the most financially damaging decisions of your early adult life. Entrepreneurship is treated as an exception rather than a path. Financial independence is rarely even mentioned as a goal worth pursuing. And so millions of people graduate with the knowledge to get a job, but without the knowledge to build a life of genuine financial freedom. One of the most important financial concepts you will ever learn is the difference between an asset and a liability. An asset puts money into your pocket. A liability takes money out of your pocket. That is it. That is the whole distinction. But most people spend their entire lives accumulating liabilities while believing they are building wealth. A car that depreciates the moment you drive it off the lot is a liability. A house you live in with a mortgage, insurance, maintenance costs, and property taxes is largely a liability regardless of what you have been told. A rental property that generates monthly income above its expenses is an asset. Stocks that pay dividends are assets. A business that generates revenue without requiring your constant presence is an asset. Now consider two people earning the exact same income. Person A gets a raise and immediately buys a newer car and moves into a more expensive apartment. Person B gets the same raise and invests the difference into index funds and a small side business. 10 years later, these two people are living in completely different financial realities. not because of income, but because of decisions. This is the divide between active income and passive income. Active income requires your time and presence. The moment you stop working, it stops coming. Passive income continues flowing whether you are working, sleeping, or traveling. The goal of financial literacy is to gradually shift your income from entirely active to increasingly passive. There are several foundational concepts that, once understood, fundamentally change how you relate to money. The first is the emergency fund. Before you invest a single dollar, you need a financial cushion, typically 3 to 6 months of living expenses, sitting in a liquid savings account. Without this buffer, any unexpected expense forces you into debt, which pulls you deeper into the rat race. The second is investing early. Compound growth is one of the most powerful forces in personal finance. When your investments generate returns, and those returns generate their own returns, your wealth begins to grow exponentially rather than linearly. A person who invests consistently starting at 25 will almost always end up wealthier than someone who starts at 35, even if the later starter invests more money overall. Time is the ingredient that cannot be bought back. The third concept is multiple income streams. Relying on a single paycheck is one of the most financially vulnerable positions a person can be in. Building additional streams, whether through investments, freelance work, digital products, or rental income, creates resilience and accelerates your path to freedom. The fourth is delayed gratification. The ability to resist spending money today in order to build something greater tomorrow is perhaps the single most important behavioral trait separating those who escape the rat race from those who do not. And finally, living below your means. Not because you are depriving yourself, but because the gap between what you earn and what you spend is the raw material of financial freedom. That gap, consistently invested over time, is what builds a life where money works for you. There is a feeling that comes with financial stress that is difficult to describe unless you have lived it. It is the anxiety of checking your bank account before buying groceries. It is the quiet shame of declining an invitation because you cannot afford it. It is the exhaustion of working harder every year and somehow feeling further behind. It is lying awake at 3 in the morning, running numbers in your head, knowing that one unexpected bill could unravel everything. Millions of people carry this weight silently, believing it is a personal failure rather than the predictable result of a system that never taught them the rules of the game. And then there is the other side. The moment a person begins to understand money, begins to make intentional decisions, begins to see their net worth grow month over month, something shifts. The anxiety does not disappear overnight, but the feeling of helplessness begins to fade. Control replaces chaos. And that shift from financial fear to financial clarity is one of the most profound transformations a person can experience. Escaping the rat race does not require becoming a millionaire overnight. It does not require a perfect salary, a lucky investment, or a viral business idea. It requires financial literacy. It requires understanding how money moves, where it goes, and how to redirect it toward assets that grow over time. It requires making intentional decisions consistently, even when the culture around you is screaming to spend, upgrade, and consume. It requires patience, because real financial freedom is built slowly and then suddenly. The goal is not to work forever for money. The goal is to build a life where your money works for you, where your investments generate income while you sleep, where your time belongs to you, where financial stress is replaced by financial confidence. That life is not reserved for the lucky or the privileged. It is available to anyone willing to learn the rules of the game and play it deliberately. If you want to learn more about money, psychology, discipline, and success, subscribe to the Clip Network and join us on the journey to financial freedom.